Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Heisman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
Today's matchup was an epic matchup between Lance McCullers and Shohei Ohtani, and it was everything that you could have asked for. And both pitchers pitched well. It was both pitchers allowed a solo home run, and it was a great matchup. And maybe even Paul Francis Sullivan, please call him Sullivan, Sully. He may even talk about this on the Locked On MLB podcast. And if you want to hear not just about the Astros, why don't you go listen to the Locked On MLB podcast? It's he has all the local experts coming on, and he talks about all the news from around baseball, not just the Astros, but Locked On MLB is the single best source for the daily baseball talk. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts, and welcome to the Locked On Astros podcast. And don't forget that you can subscribe on Spotify, and you can subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Himalaya, Odyssey, wherever you get your podcasts. Let's talk about the Astros. The Astros are winners. They're 2 games above 500, and they beat the great Shohei Ohtani. Let's celebrate. And they did it behind the domination of Lance McCullers, who just showed that he was the GOAT out there. And welcome, everybody. And don't forget that you can join the conversation as well by making some comments, and whether you're watching on Twitter, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching, you can go ahead and comment. So, Brett, what was your overall impression of this game?
Well, this was your classic pitcher's duel. You want 2 quality pitchers to go out there and have a solid outing. Of course, if you're the fan of one team, you want your guy to do better than the other. What I thought was interesting was Shohei Ohtani had 10 strikeouts to Lance McCullers' 9 strikeouts. And, of course, whenever Lance McCullers gave up that solo home run, my first thought was the Astros at least have to come back and answer with something, and they did with the Kyle Tucker solo shot. He's hitting really well. He's starting to see the ball well. You could tell he's been doing work. But Lance McCullers just looked really sharp tonight. He had his stuff going. He's confident. He's 3-1 now. Eric, he only had 2 walks, and that's the key. He only had 2 walks, and he got his strike count up. He threw 96 pitches, 64 of which were strikes. And so that's what you need. If your starters can go 8 innings, and I'm assuming they didn't let him go into the 9th, maybe because maybe a mental thing. They wanted him to end on a high note. They didn't want the game to get away from him. But, there may come a time where he goes like this and Dusty lets him go to get his first complete game since, I think, 2017.
Well, I think what happened here was his pitch count was just, he was very efficient. And that's what I look for when I look at it, how deep a pitcher can go. Is I'm like, okay, he's in 3rd inning. He should be around, if he's going to go deep in his game, he should be around 30 to 40 pitchers. And that's what he was. He was keeping it around that mark. And he was dominating. He was throwing pitches that he wanted to. He was getting the calls he wanted. And I know in the past, a lot of people are like, well, the umpire is not giving the pitchers the call. That wasn't the case today. Lance McCullers was getting calls on the corners. He was getting calls at the bottom of the strike zone, the top of the strike zone. He was getting the calls, and he made one mistake. And the one mistake was that pitch to Taylor Ward that went for a solo home run. Otherwise, he pitched a heck of a game. And I think that he probably could have pitched a complete game. But I think that Dusty Baker was like, you know what? We could leave him in there, but let's just be a little bit smarter with this, and let's not push him too far, because I'm trying to look to see. This is the first time that he's pitched this deep into the game since when? I just have this in our notes somewhere. Do you have it handy?
It's funny, as you're scrambling through notes, I'm scrambling through other things on there. Lance McCullers. No, I don't. Let's see. Okay, his longest start was in his career was 9 innings in 2015, June 3rd against Baltimore. Let's see. Okay, career in 9 innings, June 3rd, 2015 versus Baltimore. He went 8 innings. In 2016, in July 22nd against the Angels, he went 8 innings. Yeah. And then today he went 8 innings. So he matched what he's been able to do. He probably wanted to go in and finish the game, but why press it? And I think Presley, even though it's not a safe situation, he's the guy you put in there. You don't mess around with putting other people in there because they
don't
obviously
put Brooks Raley in there. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't go Brooks Raley. I was like, no, don't put Brooks. No, I actually didn't even cross my mind. I was like, Presley's going to come in and close it out, even though he doesn't quote unquote get a save. It's still a good spot for Presley to be in. That's how things are supposed to work, and the team did enough. Sometimes baseball is not about hitting the cover off the ball. It's not about pouring on the runs. It's about doing enough. And like Steve said earlier, that was a great team win. This team has more of that in them, I believe.
Yeah, and Yuli had some bad at-bats in this game. There's that one where he just popped up right to the catcher. And you're going to have these bad at-bats, but he made up for it with that home run in the 8th inning, and that was a blast. That was a no-doubter 3-run blast. That really put that game out of reach, and that's maybe Presley was already warming up, and so they're like, hey, he's already warm. We might as well bring him in. And this is an important game. We might as well. Lance McCullers pitched his butt off. Let's not blow this game like we've done in past. And so I think that's why Presley came in. And so when you do something like this, it's kind of like playing fantasy baseball. You pitch so well this far, you don't want to kind of blow it by putting the wrong pitcher in. So speaking of that, let's talk about sports trade.
Yeah, there's this thing called sports trade. It's amazing. It's where fantasy meets the stock market. It's amazing. Sports trade takes fantasy to the next level. It's like Robinhood for fantasy baseball. So if you're into it and you're into stocks, their platform allows you to buy and sell shares and players, your favorite players. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Ohtani or McCullers, whether it's Trout or Altuve. You can purchase anyone. Making money on here is very simple. As players' values rise based on 2 metrics, okay? One, their statistical performance in each game compared to their projected fantasy points in that game. The more points scored, the higher their value goes. 2 good old supply and demand things. When you're ready to buy shares, pick a penny stock in a rookie who has a huge upside and grab the blue chip vet like Yuli Gurriel and who's a solid performer, and watch your values rise. Watch your portfolio grow and gain money that way. It's very easy. Sign up today at sportstrade.com and discover the fun, exciting, and profitable new world of sports trading. This is truly the evolution of fantasy sports. You'll be amazed. Don't sit on the sidelines any longer. Get in the game at sportstrade.com.
All right. So you would think that Ohtani, after pitching a game like that, he would go sit on the bench and maybe have a Built Bar, but instead he went to right field. But go and tell us a little bit about Built Bar.
So Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar on the market. I'm telling you, folks, I'm not just blowing smoke up your skirt. I'm telling you, this is an actual legit thing. Most protein bars out there are too weighty. They're too chalky. They have too many calories. They have a ton of sugar. They don't help you lose or maintain anything other than pack on the pounds, but not Built Bar. It's wrapped in 100% chocolate. It's basically a candy bar disguised as a protein bar. Now, most of their bars have 17 grams of protein, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, salted caramel, double chocolate. Right now they have a special with strawberry. Every once in a while they bring out these new Built Puffs. They've got everything you could want. Go to BuiltBar.com. You need to use the promo code, though, LOCKED15. That's LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order at BuiltBar.com. Trust me, H-Town Wheelhouse, who's got a fridge full of them. You want to get them. You won't have any other Built Bar besides, you won't have any other protein bar besides Built Bar once you eat it. Go to BuiltBar.com, the best bar in the biz.
All right, before we get back to the offense from today's game, I'm going to go ahead and address Gio's question today. He said, who pitches tomorrow? So tomorrow's game is going to be it's going to wrap up the series. So it's Andrew Heaney versus Jose Urquidy. And Andrew Heaney has a 1-2 record with a 4.11 ERA. He has 44 strikeouts on the season, and Jose Urquidy has a 3-2 record. He has a 3.51 ERA. He has 29 strikeouts on the season. So Heaney has through 6 2/3 shutout innings in his last start versus the Rays, striking out 10 batters. Urquidy had a good start last time as well, but Urquidy really hasn't really faced the Angels a lot. David Fletcher has a lot of at bats versus Urquidy. He has a 714 batting average, and Mike Trout has 3 at bats versus Urquidy. But otherwise, he hasn't really faced them much. But the Astros have faced Andrew Heaney a lot, and people have homers against him. Jose Altuve, probably without a trash can. And then Yuli Gurriel has 2 home runs, has probably without without 2 trash cans, obviously. But Altuve is batting 400, and then you have Gurriel with 263 batting average. Alex Bregman's batting 273 off of him.
Who had an
And,
off day today, and so
right.
that's good that he's going against a guy that he can hit against.
Yeah, so I think that this is probably going to be it's going to be a kind of a game similar to what we saw. I would say what we saw today, where it's going to be a kind of pitcher's duel for a little bit, and then you'll see the offense kind of explode a little bit late. Once I don't think either pitcher has the ability to get through the rotation. I mean, get through the lineup more than 2 to 3 times.
Okay. I expect Jose Urquidy to do really well tomorrow. I think because of his last 3 starts, he is 3-0 with a 1.80 ERA with a 0.75 whip. And he's only allowed 4 runs in the last 20 innings. So I think all 4 of those runs are solo shots. So it's key that if he does give up a home run, that there's nobody else on base. So that he's got to induce ground balls. He's got to induce soft contact. The defense has got to be there. Jose Altuve did make a throwing error, I believe, tonight.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and so, as long as things go their way, the way they did, I think I think they'll be fine. Jordan's hitting 250 against Heaney, like you said, and they've seen this guy. So when you're familiar with the guy, it can work heavily in your favor. If he's hitting the spots and you're not seeing the ball well, it could be the pitcher's day. So we'll just have to see, and we hope that we don't have to go to the bullpen again, maybe save the arms of the bullpen. I would like to see a situation where you bring in the Kent Emmanuel towards the end, Stanek, and then Presley. I think that would be a good 1, 2, 3 towards the end.
Yeah, Lance McCullers, kind of like what Johnny's saying. Lance McCullers basically saved the Astros bullpen, and I know in the game before, basically we had the A game bullpen, and then in Monday's game we had the C game bullpen. It seems like so. I think that maybe in tomorrow's game with Jose Urquidy on the mound, I know that he has the potential to go 5 innings, maybe 6 innings, maybe even 7 innings. We never really know which Jose Urquidy we're going to get. So I think that Johnny's right. What McCullers did today is huge, especially for the Astros are trying to win a series at a time. That's how you're going to get back and catch up to the A's, who, by the way, are looking for a new home. They don't want to be in Oakland anymore. So the A's fans are not really supporting them, and they don't want to give them a new stadium. So they're like, okay, you don't want to give us a new stadium? Peace out. We're going to go to Las Vegas, or we're going to go to Portland, or we're going to go to Oklahoma City.
I think Sacramento. Well, no, not San Antonio. They won't come here. They'll go to Sacramento or Portland, or shoot. I ain't even thought about Vegas. That would be interesting. The Raiders are out there now. I mean, another California team going to Vegas, that would tick some Californians off, I know for sure.
Yeah, so let's kind of wrap up on tonight's game. Altuve did get a hit to start off the game, and that was a good way to start the game. Not Altuve, but Aledmys Diaz was playing third base. He did get a hit today. Brantley got 2 hits. Gurriel had that big homer in the 8th inning, but Carlos Correa is batting 239. He's got a 693 OPS. I think Carlos Gomez would be blushing about that OPS right now. And
Carlos Gomez?
Yeah.
Why Carlos Gomez?
Is the the guy the outfielder that used to play for the Astros, the one who traded? Yeah. I mean, because he sucked. And
I'm sorry. I was like, wait, I'm sorry. I thought I missed a
never mind.
connection. That's on me.
You
Hey,
did. It's fine.
it's okay. Hey, get this. I just saw this on Twitter. Chandler Rome quoted Yuli Gurriel. He was asked about Shohei Ohtani, and Gurriel said, "Ohtani is an incredible human being. He's really one in a million." I mean, the guy pitches, he gets it, he hits second, and then he goes to right field. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
And
yes,
Luca says that Trout and Ohtani are wasting their talents as Angels. Yes,
wait,
we've been saying that for a year.
is this the Luka Doncic? What if it is?
I'm not
Hey,
sure.
superstars. All right. Thanks, Luca, for joining the show.
Alrighty, so yeah, Gio says that Dusty needs to give Kent Emmanuel a start. He's too good. The problem is the Astros have, especially once Framber Valdez comes back, the Astros have way too many good starters.
It's
And
a
then
log jam.
once Jake Odorizzi comes back, the Astros have a lot of depth, and that's not a bad thing. You can use these guys as the bulk guys. You have the long relievers, and you're going to need these guys, especially as much as Zach Greinke has struggled this year to kind of go deep into games. This is a good way to kind of balance the load a little bit. So
here's I think a long-term view of Kenny Emmanuel. If you can stretch him out, even go like 4 or 5 innings in games, and you can give him a bunch of experience this season, since this is technically, this is his rookie year. Greinke's, for all intents and purposes, gone. He's a guy that you could easily pencil in the rotation possibly next year if there's a spot to be won. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
He's going to be utilized. I agree, but he's there because if someone does go down in the future, then you're going to have Ken Emmanuel to be able to step in.
So you're willing to bet on Kent Emmanuel. So let's talk about betonline.ag.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your sports action. If you're not an avid sports bettor, go here. They've got it. Like Super Bowl betting, I've never done it before. I did it with betonline.ag. I actually won some cheddar. That was fun. Baseball season is in full swing. The NHL is happening. You have UFC, you have MMA, you have boxing matches, no matter what it is, whether it's Preakness, whether it's the second or third leg of the Triple Crown running, you have the ability to look up the news, get sign-up bonuses, contest information galore. It's all there. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. This is your chance to get in the game as your team gets ready for their playoff run. Head to the website and use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus. That's right, your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, your online sportsbook expert. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON. Now, you can also bet on who will have more wins at the end of the season, Lance McCullers or Christian Javier.
Alrighty, so Bill Morton says it seems that like Lance has pitched right after a loss the past couple of games, and he's pitched fantastic. Yeah, and so I actually have some stats from McCullers, and so in the past, let's see, where is it? Let's see, do you have it handy? I have it somewhere. Oh, here it is. In the last 4 starts, he's pitched 27 innings. He's allowed 15 hits, 6 runs, 3 homers, 11 walks, 31 strikeouts. He has a 2.00 ERA and a 0.96 whip. That's pretty darn good. This is a guy that you paid for. This is a guy who will be your ace once Zach Greinke leaves. I know a lot of people are saying, well, that's Framber Valdez. Yes, but the money is, if you're going to bet on somebody to be the ace, it's going to be Lance McCullers, and betonline.ag is going to say Lance McCullers is going to be your ace. And so that's the guy who I'm going to go with. So Lance McCullers, he just looked so dominant. He just looked like he was in total control of the game. That as good as Kent Emmanuel was in that first 8 2/3 innings pitch, that's how in control of the game Lance McCullers was today. And he just gave up that one pitch. So we can go ahead and talk about that a little bit. So Johnny says, does Diaz get another start tomorrow to get an extra right-handed bat in the lineup to face Haney? Maybe. The question is, where are you going to start him? So do you put him in outfield? I think you're definitely not going to sit Tucker. Tucker's on a roll right now.
Yeah,
So
I think the Bregman being out was just a 1 game rest. You're not going to rest Bregman two games in a row unless he's injured, and we've heard zero about him being injured. Good question. I love giving Diaz the at bats, but I think the first time a pinch hit spot comes up in the lineup, you throw him in there. I don't know that anybody else really needs a rest right now with the way they're going. Carlos Correa got his breather over the weekend on Mother's Day, so I think he's good there. But one of the things that I noticed is Mike Trout had the hardest hit ball today at 107 miles an hour, and it was a ground out. It wasn't a home run. And they were really able to lock down Mike Trout. The Astros actually handle Mike Trout pretty well, it seems like, for the most part. When he comes in, he is a big threat because we do have a pine box of a stadium. It is the juice box for a reason. And it's great when you can keep him and Justin Upton at bay. And that's what they did. There were a lot of – basically, Kyle Tucker had 2 hits over 100 miles an hour off the bat. One was his home run and one was his single. Yordan Alvarez, he didn't do much today, but, he got the fielder's choice. He kind of kept the inning alive. Right. And so you like to see that. You like to see them making good, hard contact. And towards the end, Miles Straw had that line out, Eric. If he'd have hit that ball 2 or 3 feet to the left or the right, they would have scored another run. I mean, it was a solid hit. So all around, I think everybody looked good tonight.
Lance McCullers after game says, apparently people don't like pitchers duels, but I thought it was a pretty fun game. And Brian McTaggart says, I approve this message because this was the shortest game of the year for the Astros. It was 2 hours and 33 minutes. And after playing tennis today, and it's my ankle's really sore, I'm like, wow, this is that was a short game. So that's pretty awesome. And so there's a lot that happened in this game. And it was just, at first it was like once Taylor Ward got that homer, it was like, here we go again. Here comes this big inning. They're going to bring in the bullpen. And I felt Debbie Downer coming down and like, oh no, here we go again. But then I'm like, okay, calm down.
Ye of little faith. Oh, ye of little faith. Hey, you know what? Hey, dude, for one thing, congrats to you for playing tennis today. Because like I said before we got on air, that is not a sport that you just pick up. And you're still standing, you're doing the show. Yes, we did see Yordan was working out in left field before the game today. At some point, he's going to get out in the field. Do we have that? We're going to hold on that? Okay.
But let's not get too.
No. Yeah. You are going to have to work him in the outfield at some point. He's going to have to get some work because there's going to be a situation. Dude, he's legging out triples. He's running doubles. He's sprinting down the line. There's not a whole lot of difference. You're not really doing a whole lot of turning like you do in center field where you're turning to chase down a ball. Right. But I think at the end of the day, that's going to be limited. You will see Yordan out there at some point, but I don't think it comes until close to the All-Star break. I don't think it'll be in any like meaningful games. Maybe they're up and they do a switch and they put him out in left field, just to give him the work.
Yeah, I don't think after I know Johnny says you can put Diaz in left field and then put Uncle Mike in right field and then maybe put Kyle Tucker in center field.
But then defensively, that's not very strong.
I mean, we can try that for a game. I don't know if Dusty Baker is going to be too on board with that.
I don't want to give Dusty ideas. Trust me, he's not listening to us. I know that somebody earlier said that Miles Straw is trash and everything, but I know he's batting 207 with a 552 OPS. Martin Maldonado is batting 133 with a 426 OPS. But I still feel more confident about Martin Maldonado than I do Miles Straw. But same time, Kyle Tucker is just, I don't know. I just don't know if the Astros trust him in center field. And until we see him playing out there, the Astros are not going to sign Albert Pujols. Wait, yeah,
No, Gio.
No, Gio. Here's the thing. Albert Pujols has that guy can't even run. That guy's dealt with plantar fasciitis for like 10 years.
Yeah.
He's 10 years into that.
especially with Alvarez. There's just no
No.
place. I thought about that, Gio, and I want to say that would be awesome to have Albert Pujols on there, but there's just no place. You got to have Alvarez at the DH, and
If you
yeah.
side out Pujols, it's because you need him. You don't want to need him right now. This team doesn't need him. Hey, Eric, I'm looking at Baseball Savant, and I'm looking at all these pitches that all these different hitters got, or I'm sorry, pitches that they threw. And man, Ohtani was all over that strike zone. Slegers came in, he was all over the place. And the Astros did good, staying disciplined tonight and getting the hits when they needed them. And so I really, really like that we were able to beat a pitcher who had a solid outing, because it seems like when we have a pitcher that gets us locked down, we end up finding ways to not win those games. This was a great win.
Yeah. So speaking of, I know that Tanner is bringing up the run differential, and I know that one of my fellow writers over at the Crawfish Boxes brought up, well, if you take away the stats from the season opening series where we swept the A's have the better run differential for the season. I'm like, stop, Debbie Downer. But
Yeah, okay,
it's true. It's true.
it
But
is true, but
so,
you
but Jose Altuve hasn't made an error all season. And what does Chandler Rome do? He writes a freaking article about Jose Altuve's defense. And he says Jose Altuve didn't want to talk about his defense because he said he's superstitious. After his ALCS meltdown last year, Altuve has not made an error in 25 games, but he's gotten just 29 plays at second base, the fourth fewest of any second baseman. And Altuve is worth -1 defensive runs saved, according to Fangraphs. So what happens in tonight's game? He makes his first error. So guess what Jose Altuve is not doing anytime soon? Answering any questions to Chandler Rome. Chandler Rome, you are now blacklisted to Jose Altuve.
I think Eric just canceled Chandler Rome. Basically, so you're saying that's equivalent of an announcer calling out a no hitter and jinxing the no hitter. That's the thing. You hate to see that, but Altuve has been magnificent this year. His throws have been good. He's been on the mark. I think it's one of the reasons why I don't like the shift, Eric, is when you play infielders in the outfield, that changes the way that ball comes at you, because once that ball hits that grass, it changes everything. It changes the spin, it changes how it bounces, it changes how the ball reacts when it makes contact with the ground. And Altuve's had his toughest times when he's played in that outfield on the shift, right? But here's the thing. No, we are not. No. Puig? Why Puig? No, that guy's a cancer in the locker room. A, he licks his bat. B, he's a hothead. C, I'm not even going to go into the real reasons why I don't want him on this team. But no, we don't need anybody like that. We've got what I call a clean clubhouse. We've got a group of guys who are good guys. You don't have anybody to trade for Marte either. I mean, who are you going to trade?
Yeah, Tanner, that's actually not a bad idea.
Starling
Marte would be the perfect. It's not even about that, Brett. We can actually trade for Starling Marte. It's just the fact that we can't take on his salary.
Isn't he injured too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know anything, but I know that his salary is going to put us over the luxury tax threshold. So we can't do that. Even if we had the prospects to trade for him and he's not hurt, I don't know what his condition is in. I'm trying to go the Big Lebowski here, but so I just don't think that they can take on his salary at where they are right now. The Astros have put themselves in a hole. We have to deal with the straw man, until
Miles Straw keeps taking on the chin, and I've been extra critical on him. But at the same time, this team is so complete offensively that it doesn't necessarily hurt you. It's not as glaring if he doesn't perform up to what you expect him to. Now, I will say this about, guys like Starling Marte or whatever. Those are great talks to have, but at the same time, you've got to be realistic where this team is. We don't need to go out and get anybody right now. You're not going to trade prospects because the prospects you have, you want them to come up in the next year or two. So
Yeah, Jose Siri could be that guy. I know he had I saw that he had a home run or a big double the other day. I need to really pay more attention to the farm system, but I know that he's doing pretty well down there. And I know Tanner says that the lineup is missing a big power hitting outfielder. I think that Michael Brantley's doing pretty good there, and Kyle Tucker has been showing that he can be that guy. He's struggled a little bit, but he has ever since he had that pink bat, he's kind of turning things around. So I think that we're going to see this. I think you're talking about a center fielder. I think we can't expect George Springer. George Springer's not going to walk through that door. George Springer was one of those once in a lifetime type of players. You're not going to find him at Walmart. You're going to have to go look at you're going to have to go to Dick's Sports and Outdoors or whatever and find
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah,
you're like Bass Pro Shop, Dick's Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
So Kyle Tucker has 1, 2, 3, 4 home runs in his last 10 games. So that's pretty good. Kyle Tucker is, coming around. And so I just think right now, you know what? I was backwards. That was at the beginning. He has 2 home runs in his last 10 games. But anyways, I digress. So yeah, go to Dick's Sporting Goods.
No, don't go. I don't know. Don't go to Dick's. All righty, guys. That's all we got for this episode of Locked On Astros podcast. And don't forget to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we got some great things going on over there. And don't forget to go check out the Locked On Today, where our fellow Locked On A's host is going to be on the Locked On Today's podcast tomorrow. He's going to be whining about the A's having to leave Oakland. So go check them out, and Peter Bukowski and everything. And I'm going to try to do this right this time. So make sure you go subscribe to us on YouTube, and I'm going to be working on these graphics. This is work in progress. Thank you for listening, and go Astros. Hopefully we can get another series win. Go Lance McCullers Gnome, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.